Joe, how big is it that Cliff Kingsbury decided to stay around for year two as the OC instead of taking a head coaching gig elsewhere? How big is that for Jayden's development in year two here in Washington?
I think it's huge. I think that, again, when you talk about coaching changes, you also talk about system changes, coordination changes, and I think it's huge for Jayden's growth. I think it's huge for this offense. Cliff, I thought, did a masterful job. You and I, we talked a fair amount last year, and I was so impressed with the way that he called games to give Jayden a chance to be able to get comfortable, to work himself into being the quarterback that he became. The athleticism is there. The intelligence is there. There's so many wonderful things about Jayden. And the one element that I think nobody really gave a lot of credit to was Cliff's ability to be able to utilize those talents in different ways.
So Joe, talk about this game. All right. Giants are kind of a different roster. All right. Their coaching staff is under the gun. If you had to put money on it, they're probably going to be out at the end of the year unless they really turn it around. But they drafted Jackson Dart, so maybe that's this can salvage a head coaching
another
career.
Year. Salvage another year.
Maybe another year. But they got Neighbors. He's stud. They got a really good defense. They drafted Abdul Carter, who's going to be a Micah Parsons-like type of player. I think their defense is going to be a challenge on Sunday. What do you think?
I agree with you. I do. Anybody that thinks, we're 6.5-point favorites in this football game.
Right.
If you look at the Giants of last year, they were quite dysfunctional last year. I think we all can concede that. It was, but they play us tough. Again, it's a division game. Number one, it's in our division. The other thing is there's such a different football, and you bring it up. I think their defense is going to be very good. They have stability at the quarterback position, which they didn't have last year. And they have performance at the quarterback position, which you anticipate will be better. I think it's going to be a hard-fought football game. I think it's going to be a close football game. And the worst thing we could possibly do is take this football team lightly, saying, it's the Giants. We beat them a couple times last year. No, you better tighten up that chin strap, because I think this is going to be a slugfest. I think this one, there's no love loss, and it's going to be a slugfest.
Joe, you concerned about the running game? They move on from Brian Robinson, who was their most productive running back last season. You draft somebody in the 7th round. We don't know exactly how he's going to fit in. We expect Chris Rodriguez maybe to get the bulk of the carries. What do you think about the Commanders' running game?
I think it's going to be complementary to our passing game. You added Debo on one side. So you look at the additions, Larry on the left tackle position. You added offensive line. You added wide receiver. The running back situation, we've got guys that have been there. Again, it isn't just Jayden that benefits from being familiar with the system and having Cliff here. It's the whole offense that way. The guys that have been there can help the young guys learn. Getting Terry signed, I think, was so important. I mean, Terry had 13 touchdowns last year as a wide receiver, 1,000 yards again, 82 catches. I mean, his performance is unbelievable. Now you add Debo to that mix, and I think it complements the running game. They work together. It's like, you look at the Miami Dolphins with Tyreek Hill, okay? He changes the dynamics of what you can do in the secondary when it comes to run support, because he can go over the top. Mm-hmm. Well, Terry can go over the top. We have people who can get down. Noah can get over the top. So I think our passing game is really going to complement the offense when it comes to running the football.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because Jayden was so remarkable last year, and I don't see any reason why he's not going to grow from it. But tell us what kind of evolution you're guessing we might see from Jayden from year one to year two.
I think a comfort level with the offense a little bit. I think you're going to see him get the ball out of his hands a little bit easier, a little bit quicker than he did last year. Last year, he relied so much on his athletic ability to escape and make plays. I still think we're going to go for it on 4th down because they trust him instantly with the ball.
All right.
I still believe that.
You think he'll rush for as much?
Process. Pardon?
Do you think he'll rush for as much?
It depends on what happens up front. I mean, if the offensive line does their job, no. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be called upon in different instances to be able to utilize his legs. But I saw last year where he made a lot of moves, made a lot of plays, and I think that's one thing he'll learn about, having studied himself. That's really what you do, is you sit down and study yourself. And, you talk about a growth. Tom Brady's a good friend, great friend. Mm-hmm. I asked Tom about the growth at the position this time you've done so much. You won championships. He said every day you have to learn. Every day you're learning something. You're learning something about a teammate. You're learning something about the offense. You're learning something about yourself. And I see Jayden being that kind of a student of this game. I was thinking about him last night because I knew we were going to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. He has football intelligence as well as academic intelligence. He's a smart young man, but he has football smarts. He's learned to protect himself. He's learned to get out of bounds. He's learned to be able to line up for the next play. You don't do anybody any good if you're, basically on a table in the training room trying to heal. So he's learning all those things, which is part of his growth.